Welcome to 5 Minutes, your quick dive into the wide-ranging world of insurance, technology, and leadership. I'm Miguel Edwards, and I'll be your guide as we explore these topics that are transforming not just the insurance industry, but the business world at large. Along with sharing observations I've made over the span of my career in insurance, technology, and operations, I'll be chatting with some of the brightest minds in business and leadership. Whether you're a seasoned executive or a rising star, an industry expert, or just curious about how technology is revolutionizing insurance, this is your perfect spot for your weekly dose of insights. This is 5 Minutes. Jake, one of the things that you talk about is kind of where you guys sit, and obviously encouraging clients to take advantage of all of the availability of modern technology that's out there. One of the things that I struggle a lot with, especially with my clients, is I tend to work in the mutual space and kind of that kind of more mid-market space. And man, we are anchored by legacy technology. It's there seems to be, kind of a paying for the sins of our past in perpetuity. And so what are you guys doing? And what kind of advice do you have for carriers that are stuck with these legacy boat anchors and wanting to take advantage of newer solutions like what you bring to the table, but feel that there's just a too long of a road to hoe to get there?
Yeah, it's a great, and anchor's a great word because I think of the word boat anchor, right? It's like drags you down. Yeah, so, a couple of thoughts on that. When we see these situations come up, we see organizations that, want to take the, agile iterative approach and, and we believe, that's the best path forward. The contemplation of rip and replace, it just brings in, too much risk unless you're in, there's a handful of scenarios that might make sense. Yet largely it's the iterative approach. And so when we see these organizations that, they start off maybe well-intended, then they get caught up in maybe different technology vendors that, maybe, dangle these big carrots out there and they think, oh, well, we got to go big, in contrast to just getting started, and what's that saying? Progress is the enemy of perfection,
perfection is the enemy of good, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so we see that often where, they start off maybe well-intended, yet somehow either through, taking more bites of the apple, they want to just go bigger, in contrast to, don't lose sight that, just a little bit of incremental, benefit, weeks and weeks at a time, before you know it, you've made massive progress. So, and again, I don't want to belabor the culture component because that's sins of the past. They didn't do anything. They probably got by okay. And excuse me, maybe if it was a profitability situation or maybe there was some kind of like turning point. Yet now here you are, that this contemplation for AI and just how fast AI is going. And, we don't talk about AI in the hyperbole context. We talk about it very specifically in a process aligned to, say, underwriting and claims. And so that's where these organizations with these anchor situations are really struggling the most because they're trying to make up a lot of lost time. I used to tell my teams when I was at Aon, it's about paying the airplane while it's in flight. You don't have the luxury of landing it. You don't have the luxury of, you've got to figure it out. You've got to do with, the best of what you got on the vehicle and make the most of it.
Yeah, I love that. I want to come back and double click a little bit on the concept that you just mentioned around AI and process, because that's really fascinating. But before we do that, I want to beat up this legacy thing just a little bit more. The horse is not dead yet. There's this kind of mindset shift that I'm trying to get my head wrapped around, even for myself and in our own firm, that the concept of modernization is dead. There is no kind of endpoint. It's a constant evolutionary mindset, and I'm sitting here myself struggling as an example. I mean, you guys are a commercial user of AI. I use AI in terms of ChatGPT. I mess around with NAN. I do some agentic flows, and I can't keep up with the model development. I don't know if it's my age or what, but it's just moving so fast, and so. How do we get the industry? How do we get our legacy mindset, these cultures, to realize that there's no endpoint? It's just continuous.
It is. And so, quick aside, personal story, I'm similar to you. I'm a technologist, like to dabble, and I've had, access to these tools on a personal level. I do work with Agile University. I'm on their AI advisory board. We just had a board meeting last night, so it's very timely. We were just talking about this as a professional group that, you saw early days. It was cutesy. It was interesting. Now the models are catching up, and it's just like, wow, I can't keep up with it. And there was this bumper sticker I had as a kid growing up that was like, life is a journey, not a destination, right? And that's the analogy I would come back to with you, is that I really believe as organizational leaders, you really have to adopt this mindset of truly continuous improvement, that it's not a modernization. It's really that journey, and you're not going to ever arrive there, that you've just got to be putting these pillars. And again, all the more reason that, if organizations have some boat anchors or some tech debt that they've inherited, you really have to figure out how you fold that in, and that next iteration, get in front of it, and the next iteration, because at the pace that we're going, the pace of change, I mean, who knows what it's going to be like this time next year? Hopefully you and I get back together and compare notes, because it is incredible the speed that this is going. It's just phenomenal.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.